Pat, and I'm Zulu. And when we greet people, we say Sawubona. You know, which is I see you.
What is that one thing that, as a marketer, you've always had to maintain?
I think, firstly, that the marketing science is replicable.
From where you're sitting right now, how do you see the role of the CMO in the future?
A brand promised is a brand delivered. You know, if you're in financial services, maybe the role remains a CMO. Or maybe
to read the room. Context really matters, which is something that I feel a lot of people struggle with, or they don't get important.
Are leaders made or are they born?
Pat. It's Pat on brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the brand. If it's enormous.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pat on Brands podcast with me, Pat Mahlangu. Today, I have a very special guest, as I always say, but this one is more special because I think, Mr. Mbhele, you are one of the most influential marketers in this country. You know, you cannot go or walk into a boardroom and mention the word Sydney Mbhele and no one knows who you're talking about.
I don't know how true that is.
Yeah. I mean, I heard about your name before I even met you in person. That's how, and that's many years ago.
It is a positive thing.
Yeah.
And I say this with humility. It's not something that I internalize at all. Because I'm glad it's been about the work that I've done rather than it's been about me. And in many instances where people have approached me for it to be about me, I've actually, in many instances, said no. I'd rather I'm seen through the difference and the legacy that I leave with the brands that I work for. So I put them first before me.
Sure.
So every time people say that, I always get taken aback.
I can see even now, you like, part of me feels like, being too humble because, you've done the work. But also your story and your journey into marketing, I think is one of the humblest I've ever had. If you don't mind, please just take us through your journey, where it all started and how you got where you are today.
Just a boy. Born out of Soweto, humble parents. My mother was a nurse, Baragwanath Hospital, and my dad was a clerk in a book company, Time Life Books. They used to invest in this country, and they left South Africa at the height of sanctions. And he got retrenched. And I went I paid university with his retrenchment package. In fact, all of it.
Do you have younger siblings?
I've got a younger sibling, a brother, 7 years younger than me. And so I went to a boarding school in a township called Matadeni, which is in
Newcastle.
You can imagine what a boarding school in a township looks like. But an experience out.
Was that during, obviously, the height of apartheid?
Yeah. It was in the 80s, late 80s. And
it doesn't seem to be a young boy in Soweto. Or it was for other reasons that they took you?
Because they were trying to protect me. It was rife with riots and June 16, we used to call it Power. As now it's referred to as June 16, we used to call it Power.
Okay.
And it's going to go down. So they were trying to protect me. So they sent me to a boarding school. It's out of Johannesburg and far away. I'm actually was not quite sure what I wanted to do with my life. And I heard that there was something called chartered accounting, and if you're a chartered accountant, you're going to earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ended up doing a social science at UCT, and came out of UCT. I was very lucky to be identified by one of the companies, international companies, to be part of their graduate recruitment program. That's a story for another day, but it didn't come to be. On our first day, we were told that the program had been cancelled.
Oh, no.
And I sought to get the HR guy who was managing the process on that first day to help me understand sort of what roles were there for us to apply for, because the program had been cancelled, but they'd given us letters of employment, so they were forced to employ us.
Hectic.
And the other 4 guys who were chosen with me they were very quick to pick some of the roles that they thought they would apply for, because all of us didn't have experience. So all they could give us were jobs without experience, vacancies for people without experience. And I then asked the HR guy to give me a list of jobs that were available for people with experience. And the guy said, no, but you can't apply for that because you don't have experience. I said, no, I want to see the kind of jobs that I could do in the future so that I know what to choose now. Anyway, to cut a long story short, after meeting the hiring manager of one of the roles, he decided to hire me on the spot.
Sure.
For a job that needed 8 years working experience.
Hectic.
And 5 years management experience. So my first job, straight from varsity, I was managing about 80 people. I was a regional sales manager for Simba, running the Free State.
Wow.
At age... So
you already started on a high.
So I was about 22, there's somewhere there, 22-ish.
Sure.
22, 23. And
so that time, obviously, from a leadership perspective, did you even have a philosophy on how you're going to lead these people?
No induction whatsoever. The first day, I walked into the office. The security guard at the gate actually thought I was coming to look for a job. What he didn't know was that I was coming to run the place. The full distribution, the regional distribution place in Bloemfontein.
Yeah.
And the second day, I called everyone into sort of it's like a hall. In fact, it's a distribution center.
Yeah.
And I told them that because everyone was surprised, this young man, 23, coming to become a regional sales manager and to run this whole thing. And there was finance, there was administration, there was distribution, sales guys.
Yeah.
All of them were like shocked.
Who's the man that gave you that job? A brave man.
A guy called Mr. Jan Venter. I've tried to search for him now. I can't find him.
Sure.
But it was just an incredible start. So I told everyone. Yeah. Actually, on my first day, I said, actually, and I stood on a chair. I climbed on a chair because I was young and short. Yeah. And I climbed on a chair and I said to them, I don't know why I was hired here. Yeah. But you're honest. But there must be a reason. Yeah. I was hired. But what I'm going to do is, for that reason, I'm going to try to give you as much as I can. I hope you can also teach me about what you do. So I spent about, I think, the next sort of month and a bit, or 2 months, I can't remember now. Yeah. Actually, I was not in my office. I was on the trucks delivering stock. Yeah. I was working with the sales guys, learning how to operate the point of sale material, devices that they used to have, so that I can understand what they do. And I did very well. And I got promoted 18 months later. Wow. To run Gauteng.
Sure. So you moved from
Bloemfontein, Free State, and Gauteng was the biggest region. Sure. And I was promoted to come run Gauteng. Anyway, you asked me a question about how I got into marketing. Later on, I was at, which is now Diageo. It's changed names over the years from Gilbey's to UDV. Yeah. Now it's Diageo. At the time, a guy called Mr. Mike Joubert, and I was in sales. So
you started your career in sales?
I started in sales. So from that first job,
Yeah.
and then moved on to sales roles.
Wow.
I had now changed company. I was working for this company.
Before you get into that story, because I hear a lot of people, because I've got a friend who's obsessed with sales. I find sales guys make way more money than marketers or brand people. Is it true?
I think what makes it slightly more lucrative is the commission part, depending on how it's structured.
Yeah.
But it differs from industry to industry.
Yes.
And levels, so it's difficult to say whether it's always better than marketing. But where you have a high ceiling for earnings, where you get rewarded, you've got a base salary and you get rewarded for the kind of business that you bring, you tend to maybe earn a lot of money. So anyway, I was in sales for Diageo, let's call it Diageo. And when marketing guys used to come every trimester, every 4 months, to come tell us about promotions that the brands were running, Smirnoff, J&B, Gin Zing and Bells and all of those brands that they used to have at the time, I used to ask a lot of questions to the marketing guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes give advice, of, look, here's how I think the mechanics of the promotion could be changed. Here's what I suggest you guys do. And Mike Chube used to listen. Every time they come to my region, he used to say, geez, actually, I like you've got a marketing mind. And every time they present to us, I used to always think, actually, I think I like this thing called marketing.
Yeah.
I'd never actually known about it, or I'd never, it's not something that I'd aspired to pursue in my career. And one day a role became available for brand manager for Smirnoff.
Yeah.
And he approached me, and I didn't have a marketing qualification. And he approached me and he said, listen, Smirnoff is the biggest brand for our business at the time.
Yeah.
And, here's an opportunity for you to come to marketing.
Sure.
And he gave me the opportunity. So that's how my marketing career started. I subsequently studied marketing after, but that was off the start.
It seems like you've always been the chosen one.
Far from it, far from it. I think, this thing that Gary Player says is such a powerful thing, I think, for many people, young people, to actually know and internalize. He said the more you practice, the luckier you become. Yeah. So you can extrapolate that into life. One of the things that I think I took quite strongly from my mother is I work hard. I have no doubt about I graft, I'm not scared of grafting. And, I guess because I work hard and I get committed, I'm a heart person. Those who know me closely, they will tell you, I'm a heart person. Emotion first. So I commit to my jobs. I commit the best I can. And I guess maybe that, call it practice, puts me in the right places at the right times, and or it makes people bet on me. Because you want in life, you want people to bet on you. And they don't just bet, they bet on you because they think there's something in there, even if it's rough. But they think maybe it can still be polished. But you know what? If I bet on it, maybe in the future it can yield.
Oh, they see that you're grafting, but you need a boost.
Or something like that. Or open doors or sort of thing. So I've tried to put myself in the right spaces, So they say life, success in life is a series of good decisions. And I think easier said than done, because you can look retrospectively and say, geez, I've made the right decisions all the time, and it matters, what company you work for, which city you are in, or what, there's and some of it is just micro decisions. It's micro decisions that over time, collectively sort of work in your favor. I don't believe that there are people who are just lucky,
by birth.
It's like by birth, you just all the time you're lucky. So things sort of organize themselves around you because you actually organize yourself around them. So, and I take that, I take that, and that's why I never stop. Because I never think the world owes me anything, so continuous improvement, continuous, delivery consistently is important. And that becomes your brand, when you consistently.
Show up in a particular way.
Yes, people don't talk about you or anyone. You were saying people talk about me in boardrooms. I guess it's over time. It's not because I stand on podiums
and say, hey, I'm the guy.
I'm the guy,
Yeah.
And I actually very consciously don't do that. I even avoid going to conferences. I even avoid, doing stuff because I just think there's more things.
Absolutely. But also, I do appreciate you obviously making the time, to come to this platform, because we now live in a generation, especially with my peers, right? Yeah. They see you at that level and they don't know what it took for you to be where you are. And almost as if, that's why now a lot of people are standing on podiums and say, I'm this, I'm that, but they have nothing to show for it. Yes. So hence, I always try to, even the guests that we bring on this platform, I'm very deliberate, because these are people that have journeyed, that we can learn from as a generation, So
no, you're doing an amazing job, and that's why I'm here, because I recognize your platform and I see the work that you do. In your own way, you are adding so much of oxygen into humanity. By just creating the platform of this nature. So, I'm happy where I can make a difference. I'm also happy to contribute.
Awesome stuff. I'm curious on the question around sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes there are debates whether they should be one thing or they should still remain, separate. In your view, as someone who's done both,
yes,
what's your take?
I think like everything else depends. Depends on industry, depends on circumstances, depend on strategy, organizational strategy. Sometimes there's virtue in keeping them open separately.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's virtue in pulling them together because maybe you want, Also depends on where the organization is at a particular point in time. So it's an operating model decision. It's a business model decision rather than a structured decision.
Got you.
So it really depends. There may be environments. I could own two companies.
Yeah.
And in one company, I have them together.
And the other,
I have them separate.
Yeah.
Because of the strategic objectives we're trying to achieve, the connectedness that we are trying to achieve. So I used to work at SAB at some point, and a guy called Nomen Adami, which is like a legendary in that industry and retired now. There were times when he's never said this himself, but there were times where I used to think he used to pit, people against each other.
Sales and marketing.
Not in a negative way, not in a negative way.
Yeah.
But because he wants to get the competitiveness to come out. And at the time, it worked. And that was like such masterclass. So the answer is...
depends on... it's all contextual.
All contextual.
Then where you are now, obviously sitting at the helm of what one would say, one of the leading banks in South Africa. And one of the things you did when you got in was to just shake things up, and obviously the story matters is one that's top of mind right now. Almost everybody. I recently had the privilege of visiting Seychelles, and the first brand I saw when I landed at the airport was ABSA. I was like,
I know this guy.
That repositioning, from Africanacity to your story matters.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Firstly, I think people need to know, because I think a lot of people have they misconstrue the fact that when you join an organization at that level, that new broom sweeps clean. It's not always the case. It's not always the case that when you join as a CMO that people must say, oh, we know that he's going to change the positioning.
Yeah, it's going to change the brand.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
It so happened that actually I've been in 3 organizations where I've had to do that. Financial services, Nedbank, see money differently.
What was you?
I led the strategy to the end, to approval. I didn't launch it.
Yeah.
I left after having approved the strategy.
Wow.
And we're starting to work on the launch materials, TV ads, etc. And then I left, did that December.
Wow.
It was launched in Jan.
Is that when Kenzie took the reins?
Yes, Kenzie came in. At the time, came from Vodacom to replace me in my old role before she got promoted into the role that she has now.
Wonderful.
But I had led the process.
Yeah.
So I got that. Sanlam, Live with Confidence.
Yeah.
I've got a little imprint there.
Yeah.
And of course, now at ABSA. And the issue about ABSA was when you get into a role like that, you got to understand, what is my mandate really? What do I want to do? And the key thing for ABSA at the time, as I landed 3 years ago now, it feels.
Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday. Yeah,
it feels like it was yesterday. 3 years ago, at the end of December, was here's an organization that I used to look at when I was much younger. In fact, funny enough, there's a story you might not know.
Yeah.
I was interviewed by Bobby Malabi, who was in my job far back. I think he left 2018, somewhere there.
Yeah.
And he was trying to recruit me for a job in his team.
Yeah. And
as I sat in the interview, chatting to him, I was thinking, Jesus, ABSA, actually, I want your job. Inside, in my head, I didn't tell him. In my head, I was thinking, I want your job.
Yeah.
Actually, but I mean, you never think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna ever happen. So the day I walked into ABSA to take his job, I mean, he had left a while back.
Yeah.
It was like a kind of coming full circle.
Indeed.
From something that I said in my mind.
Like a deja vu type of thing.
Yeah, it was like, geez, I actually got this job. I remember saying to myself back then, that one day I'd like to do this job. It was very clear that this is an organization that was the best bank, the coolest bank at some point, and it lost its shine. And I guess with Barclays coming in and exiting, and the organization just had lost its place in the rankings of really powerful brands in this country. It was one of the top.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're a CMO and you come in, your responsibility is to say, how can marketing be used as a lever for success? And that's where it starts. You look at the strategy and say, how could we extract as much value as we can out of marketing or the organs of its image to help drive business success? And a part of it is to have a very well thought through brand strategy that enables the business, not for its sake. It's got to enable the business. And it's got to help, particularly in a service environment. It's total sum of experiences. So, in a service environment, a brand promised is a brand delivered. And you got to then say, if it's Africanacity, what is it delivering for customers? What is the tangible value for customers? So I battled with that, and and of course you go through the strategy to try and understand it, to go through research that's been done. You do your own research, and it became quite clear that Africanacity was a powerful strategy, was about a strong recognition for the ingenuity of Africa and the continent. But it was sitting at 40,000 feet. It was not,
on the ground with
on the
people.
ground, and And I don't know a guy who's selling home loans, how he uses that. I don't know a guy who's trying to help you get a loan, a guy who's trying to give you a credit card at ABSA, how they use that as a lever for success. So it became quite clear when, investigating, doing in-depth studies, customers across the value chain, including our own colleagues. We have 40,000 people working for us.
Sure.
And in our circumstance, we are actually a service business. We are a people business. And our brand is delivered through people. The people need to understand it intricately, intimately. They need to feel, they understand, and they get what you're about as a business so that they can use that as an inspiration for what they do
on a day-to-day. Yeah.
So it became clear that Africanity was not delivering to that extent, despite it actually being one of the most inspirational things I've ever read. It's almost like running the wrong race very well.
Oof.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Running the wrong race very well. And we did such a good job with it, but it was not
delivering
value accretive for the business.
Yeah.
So it centered us on the continent, but yet it was not bridging the gap between the inspiration and tangible value for customers. And we exist to deliver value for customers. So it was important then to say, how can we evolve it? Can we change it? Can we enhance it?
Yeah.
And the ultimate answer was actually we just need to change it, cut our losses, and build something that we believe that will have the longevity in good times and in bad times. It has universality, rooted on deep customer insights.
Yeah.
Also put the customers at the center of what we're about as a business.
And also one that doesn't need customers to think about, to say, what are they actually saying? What is this bank saying to us?
Absolutely. A big part of the strategy is this thing we call human-centered empathy. Just understanding for people for who they are, their stories every single day.
Yeah.
And recognizing them, on this continent, Pat, I'm Zulu. And when we greet people, we say sawubona, which is I see you. It's a recognition of the humanity of the person. And if you look at a lot of languages actually on the continent, and a lot of them actually are translated to mean something close or similar.
Indeed.
That I see you. And human-centeredness is the ultimate thing, You look at many different shapes, whether you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whether we all want to feel we are of substance.
Indeed.
But also that I'm not the same as you, that I run my own race. And if you're a bank, it's not about you as a bank, it's about me. You don't provide products and services. Understand me for who I am and what I'm trying to do. And if you can, find ways and means to help me to move on my journey.
Amazing. But then again, I'm also curious on how did you sell it, to the board, because now I can imagine, like you said, they spent a lot of money, a lot of effort went into building Africanity, and it was a thing, But here you come in and say, okay,
it's tough.
I need to take a different direction. How do you convince?
It is tough, It is.
And you did it 3 times, you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was about to say it is tough, particularly in financial services. Organizations, unlike in FMCG, where marketing is sort of at the center of the business.
Yeah.
In financial services, depending on how effective you are, you move from being a support function to being a corporate function, not necessarily a commercially, connected function. So you sit parallel, unless you sort of do all you can to try and make sure that you minimize the gap between what the business seeks to do and what marketing seeks to do.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of practice, as I told you, with Seeing It Differently.
Yeah.
Was the first practice. It was tough. It took us 2 years.
2 years?
To convince the business.
Yeah.
So I used to go present at the different excos, the business units, functions. So you got to take them through the journey. So it took me about 2 years at Nedbank.
Sure.
And at ABSA, this is the third time around.
Yeah.
We started this process around sort of May. I joined in Jan.
Yeah.
Got the strategy approved. The broad strategy for the function approved on the 7th of March.
I still remember the date.
Yes. And then I think in April, the 15th or the 18th of April, we went to board. And when they said, cool, we like the strategy of how you're going to rebuild the function. Part of the strategy was to review the brand positioning and how it can be used as a lever for success. And so you could say we started sort of May-ish of 2023. We launched last year in Feb, on the 22nd of Feb, 2024. So you could say 7 months, 8 months or something like that. So you can see an improvement from 2 years, to landing it much shorter. So I get a bit of...
So with the next one, then it'll be in a much shorter time. Because now you know what to say.
Maybe not, because it depends on circumstances. Maybe not, on maybe the amount of work that needs to be done. Is it a complete rebrand? Is it a repositioning? Is it a tweak? Is it, it depends really on the piece of work. So, but what is important is that to really earn respect, you got to take the business with you.
Sure.
Right? You got to take people with you. The journey about how it's not just an emotional journey, it's a rational journey. That you've spoken to customers, that you understand the residual strengths of the business and how the residual strength can remain a big part of the foundations while you're adding things to, help really make this a bit more compelling. So the journey and the gate stages, so you got to go from time to time and you go and so every phase, let's call it, there's 4 phases. Every phase you go and you say, here's where we are now, here's what, are you, everyone, okay, great, any input? By the time you get to the end, people feel a sense of belonging and a sense of possession. It's not a Sydney thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not these marketing guys going rogue, to go build something.
Yeah.
They've taken our inputs. And when you look at it, you got to see threads of the past. You got to see threads of the inputs. You got to see threads of the future. Because we are positioning it not just for today. Yeah. It's not a leg effect. Yeah. It's a lead effect. Think about Nike. It was built in 1998, I think. Just do it. Strategy. Yeah. 1998. I mean, look at it where we are today.
It's still...
it still powers.
Yeah.
Because it was built with, a sense of permanence. Right? Because it's something that really... And, you start to yield the benefits of any positioning over time. This is still too early for us. I mean, we'll be 2 years. Your Story Matters will be 2 years now in Feb. Yeah. But it's still early, just in terms of its ability to connect that thing to the true North Star of where we want to take this brand, where I think it's going to be celebrated. It's not even in today. It's going to be celebrated more probably 5-10 years from now. Yeah. Because the organization will have institutionalized it. Embedded it. And people will be able to translate it into all sorts of things. Yeah. It will be a smell in the air when you walk into ABSA. Because they fully understand it. Yeah. So I think, you just do it for, we see the work they're doing now, Nike. Yeah. It's been panel beaten over time. Not the line, but what it means and how they can extract value out of it. So that's going to happen over time. So you got to do these things with a long-term view to it. You got to do it with a long-term view that seeks to really build true, sustainable value over time for the organization.
Yeah.
And let me say, the best of it will probably happen when I've long left this job.
Hectic.
But that's how we've got to see the world and the legacy that we live.
Planting a tree that you'll never enjoy its
shade.
Shade, yeah.
Or fruits.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, of course, you want to extract value as quickly as you can. So even today we're trying. There's lots of work we're doing.
Yeah.
But you realize that there's a deficit between the actual promise and the delivery. And you go with it fully aware that there's a stretch between what we are promising and to what we need to deliver. You go with it fully aware. And then you work towards it because every day it becomes a conscience. The conscience for how we need to deliver to clients. Otherwise, you never get there. You know, if you start by saying, no, let's fix the organization first, and then because you never get there. You never quite get there because it always becomes an aspiration. It must be an aspiration. Because if it's an aspiration, it's something to wake. When we wake up every single morning, we aspire to it. And we say, we want our customers. Every time we talk to them, they say, you know what, actually, you know, my story matters because of the way you've treated me, because of this, because of that. You know, using all of the things, whether it's data, AI, customer experience, you know, products, you know, the marketing messages, all of these things work together to deliver the promise.
Wow. I'm also tempted to go back a little bit. You know, your journey started in FMCG, you've worked in FMCG, you've worked in a telco, you've worked in financial services.
Yeah.
What is that one thing that, as a marketer, you've always had to maintain?
Yeah, you know, that's a very interesting question. I think, firstly, that the marketing science is replicable. Yet adaptable. So I can't do exactly the same thing that I did in FMCG, but the science carries me through it.
Wow.
Secondly, I can adapt that to suit the circumstances. So I think really the classical understanding of customers, customer championship, is the center of gravity. You know, and we use frameworks, we use many. It actually boils down to the customer. It is about the customer. It's about understanding the customer and how to respond to it. It's not about, you know, some of the things that we do that we think. Sometimes some of the things that we do are the simplest of things that are most effective. They may not even win awards. They may not even be recognized.
Yeah.
But the simplicity of how you connect with customers and they feel a sense that, you know, you are truly about me, you know, and that I think that's if there's anything, you know, I did an MBA. Every time I think about the year, it makes me feel really old. 2005, 2006. And I finished my MBA.
That was
It's been 20
years ago. Sure.
At Gibbs.
Sure.
And the thesis for my research project for the MBA the topic was measuring the effectiveness of marketing spend in South African companies.
Wow.
So I've always had this aptitude, this interest of effectiveness and efficacy. It's always been something that I actually like to understand because I've seen marketing in different organizations in terms of its importance, in terms of its respect for the discipline, in terms of the change and the legacy that it makes. I've always thought, you know, that actually sometimes we punch below our weight in our ability to justify that reason for existence.
Yeah.
So I've always had an interest. So I'm hoping that what carries me through the consistency that you're asking about has been about, you know, here's a guy whose work is truly every single time trying to understand how we can connect better with customers, how we can be more relevant, how we can be more relatable, you know, and how we can even change the perception of marketing, with other disciplines, who may not think, there's value here or there's science here. It's a cost center. And if it's a cost center, how much more can, should we be giving them this money? Is this play money or is this money that's really contributing to the business? So I've always had an interest in that.
Yeah. Interesting you talk about the cost center thing, because that was going to be my next question, because I facilitated a panel discussion with other CMOs earlier this week and asked them the question just around the evolution of the role of the CMO, and there's different schools of thoughts. Some are saying it will soon be irrelevant. Some are saying it will require a different level of aptitude and competence, for it to continue to exist. From where you're sitting right now, how do you see the role of the CMO in the future?
You asked me a question earlier and I said it depends. Ultimately, it depends. If you're in financial services, maybe the role remains a CMO, or maybe it's blended with some level of ownership of customer experience. Because I said a brand promised is a brand delivered.
Yeah.
So maybe in that circumstance, you might say maybe in the future is about a much bigger responsibility than just marketing. Maybe we blend it with other things that are related to marketing or that are connected to that value chain to enable you to be able to do what you need to do. You must remember that nobody has skills that are broad, such that you can do a job that has marketing, that has customer experience, that has IT, all of it in one, because you want to leverage 10,000 hours. You want to leverage Sydney's experience in marketing, because then you can go deep and be more scientific there. You want to leverage Johnson's IT experience. So Sydney can't now try to be a chief digital officer, if the technical ability that Sydney and the experience he doesn't have, right? Because maybe in a highly technical environment like a bank, in terms of how a bank operates, you need more technical skills there that go deep. So you've got to be practical about how you blend this role of CMO depending on where you are. So there may be industries where it remains CMO as we know it. There may be the other industries where it morphs because it has to satisfy something else. So I don't think you can be very clear and very specific about, the role of CMO is going to do X, Y, Z. It depends on them. In other organizations, it's getting extinct because maybe the people who are in those seats are not doing enough to justify the seats. Or maybe in the industry, it's great if you are there, but actually there are more important things that the business is worried about at the time, than marketing. Right. And, so I think it really just depends, and technology is sort of challenging us. AI is challenging us around, where does marketing start and end? And I think you got to look at it in that context. In our organization, I fundamentally believe that the role of marketing is important. My job is intertwined with corporate affairs. So you're not just managing image, you're also managing reputation. And the two sides of the same coin, how these two interface. And then you realize that technology now allows me to understand customers better. I can shape the user journey in terms of, when you swipe your card somewhere, and if I know about it, what sort of push notifications or what sort of effects or what sort of things can I do through multi-moment, interactions with you that would get you to do more business with us. Now, suddenly I'm talking about a different part of a capability which is called customer value management, often sitting outside of marketing. So the future really will be defined on what are you trying to achieve as an organization and how you organize yourself. And you might find two banks doing things slightly differently because they have different strategies in terms of what they want to do and what they rate as important at that point in time. But the actual marketing bit, let's just go back to the core marketing bit of marketing, understanding customers and responding to them in a way that's really powerful, compelling, leveraging the full ecosystem of the organization that's never going to end. You know, the shape and form might change, but that's never going to end. You still need to do that if you want to put the customer at the center.
Very interesting stuff that you're sharing. So in terms of the marketing role, you know, in general, you know, obviously it differs from one organization to another in terms of how it's being perceived. But in your view, is there something that someone who's watching this right now, who's in marketing and who's got aspirations of growing in that field, how can they show up and really in a manner that marketing is taken seriously? I can tell when you're in the boardroom, you know how you with the passion.
Maybe I'm just selling a good story.
Yeah, but how can they show up?
I think my first piece of advice, and I think people would have probably heard this from other people before.
Yeah,
my first piece of advice is, we obsessed for too long with things that are marketing oriented rather than business oriented. So we report about, awareness levels and brand consideration, but the CFO is reporting about return on equity, cost to income ratio, and how you bridge the two together is actually where the intersection is. So my first piece of advice is talk to the language of the CFO. I actually read this week, someone was saying, no, but why should marketing people talk the language of the CFO? That in itself means marketing is looked down upon. It's true because it's part art, part science. And we've not been able to really deliver just as a system, as a discipline. En masse, I'm not saying everyone, but en masse, we've not been able to deliver this connection between marketing and business because a lot of it is very subjective. A lot of it is very long-term, in terms of what it brings to the business.
Yeah.
Someone asked me at ABSA after we repositioned Your Story Matters. Yeah. And they said to me, so how many customers is this bringing? I mean, really, you can't look at it that way. Yeah. There are tactics, there are strategies that are long-term, and there are delivery that is short-term. Right? If you're running a promotion, of course, you can measure that in terms of leads and how you convert people. If you're delivering a positioning of this nature, it provides you a platform. But what it does is it's a platform that enables you to grow this thing over time. You've got to whet the appetite, semiotics, get people's minds acquainted with what your ethos as a brand and a business, what you're trying to do. They may make that decision 5 years, 10 years down the road, but that's how you kind of plant, the seeds that you harvest later. So the different parts of marketing, and you've got to be able to say, what are parts that are short-term and how do I respond to that and answer and report on it so that, I can differentiate to the parts that are medium-term and the parts that are long-term. And how do I connect that to the success of the business, not to the success of marketing, right? And connecting the two is very important.
Sure. That's very profound, to think business first than marketing.
You got to start business first because we exist not for our sake. We exist to support the business, to enable the acceleration of the marketing, the commercial imperatives. Right? Marketing is saying, okay, cool, if this is what you want to achieve as a business, here's how we can organize ourselves and here's how we can say things. Here's how the pecking order should be of the things we say that get people to think differently about us. Or here's how we can talk about our products and whatever, to make sure that we have a coherent story that tells you a sense of what the business is about. So I would say my biggest piece of advice, don't say campaigns. say strategic programs.
It's all in the name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we just obsess about the things that we understand. But if I connect that to how the business succeeds, then you have a much better chance to earn that seat, earn the respect, and be seen to be value accretive.
Yeah. But in your journey and with the experience that you have you ever had a moment, a time where you felt like the business is just not getting
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It happens now. It happened before.
Yeah.
Probably on every job that I've had. It happens all the time,
Yeah. And how do you take it as it comes to say, yeah, it is part of the journey, or
the journey? It's part of the journey. Consistently find ways to frame things. We are meant to be the best communicators, right? And part of communicating is the ability to construct a commercial argument. I'm not talking about a comms threat. I'm talking about a commercial argument. And we need to be able to frame things, learn how to frame things, right? Learn how to sell things, an idea, a thought, because the more you practice that, the more you get better at doing it.
Yeah.
Just this week, actually, I won't mention the name, but I was meeting with a consulting firm who are helping us with modernizing, reinventing our marketing, team, ways of doing things, at the back of this accelerated pace of change driven by digital transformation, AI, etc. And as they were presenting to me, I was saying, no, you should have had this slide first. You must put the slide first. Okay, there's a slide missing here.
Yeah.
Because I was helping them. As they're presenting to me, I could see that the commercial argument is not strong enough. For this presentation, that needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
In another senior forum, I could see that the story. So I kept on saying to them, I'm going to teach you how to sell. Move this slide, put it there. So likewise, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to be able to take it on the chin and say, the people are asking because they don't understand, not because it's personal. It's because we've not been able to talk to them clearly about the value of marketing. Let me tell you, I spent a lot of time with my CEO and my CFO in a bank, or my AGL Exco, Group Exco. By the way, they go to every 6 months. After we present either interim results or financial results at the end, they go meet analysts and investors. They get questioned. And every time they get questioned in the way that they do, I always remember how I get questioned by the business. So actually nobody's spared. It's not just a marketing thing. You must remember now, they are being questioned by analysts and reporters, not about something that they don't know, it's something that they know. So likewise, we should be open and expect to be questioned. And in fact, the more we get questioned is a signal that maybe we need to sharpen how we report. We need to sharpen, the way we construct an argument and frame it. Is it marketing spend or is it marketing investment? That matters. And now, if it's an investment, what is the return on that investment? Articulate it clearly, in the most succinct way, but clearly about what it means, so that people on the other side can understand. We invest a lot of money in marketing. And every business should ask the questions that they ask. They should ask the questions. It's important because there's something called capital allocation. And CFO, a CEO, he's got a pot of money. And every year he says, do we invest this money in technology? Do I invest it in my factory to improve the factory? Do I pay more bonuses to people? Do I give it to marketing? So you've got competing needs. And each of these need to deliver a
return.
And if they give it to you instead of doing the other thing, what are the trade-offs in the business? So that matters. So those questions come from a good place. They come from a good place because it's a capital allocation decision. It's not a purely marketing issue. It's a business issue that says, no, I'd rather give Sydney this money or I invest in strategic initiatives that will yield stuff for the organization for the long term. I mean, that's quite important.
Yeah.
But be clear on how you respond to that and how you answer that and how you connect what you do, what you plan to do, what you've done, how it connects to the business, why we should keep this investment going, in the way that it is. And I think this conversation is not a new conversation, but it's going to be a conversation that's going to be with us for a long time.
Yeah.
We must just sharpen our ability to train young marketers right from inception to be more commercial. There's a deficit of commerciality or being commercial from marketing people.
Interesting you say that, because what you're saying really, to a certain degree, counters my, what one would say, intrinsic beliefs, that, because I'm a brand guy, and I think there's always friction between brand and commercial, because I believe that when you play in the brand domain, obviously playing the long-term game, but commercial is about performance and yielding results in the shortest possible time. But then how do we then balance, the two, whilst having a long-term outlook from a building brand perspective, but also taking care of the needs of the business in the immediate.
Yeah, there's an exercise that was done. I can't remember the name of the people, and it's a graph that shows that if you just invest in short-term stuff, you get what you call phantom patches. Okay. And people are incentivized to buy, but it comes down after that. Every time you stop communicating, the graph goes down. And then it goes up when you do something, and then it comes down. You are not building over time, growth over time. It does this, but it actually stays quite
on the same level,
flat, even with these ups and downs. And then if you overlay that with brand, that's why, then you see a line going up, a linear line going up. The answer is between the two. Depending on the industry, depending on where the brand is at and what is, whether it's a 60-40, whether it's a 50-50, whether it's a 70-30, depends on the circumstances of where you find yourself. The brands that, the people who come to me with a proposal that requires an awareness job at a time when I don't need awareness. At a time when I'm looking for conversion. Yeah. Because I've already invested in other things that will give me awareness. And they don't understand. Hey, man, this is such a powerful idea.
Proposal.
No, not you, just generally. Because I always say to people, if I have an opportunity, if I know them, opportunity, I'll say, I think what I would do is, if you can, try and understand the brand you got to take a proposal to. Try and say, where do I think, even if you speculate because you don't have the data.
The insight.
The insight. Yeah. Speculate and say, what problem, am I trying to solve for this brand? Yeah. Am I trying to solve a problem they've already solved? Of course, they're not going to invest in it or they're not going to see. I promise you, if you come to me with a problem we've not solved yet, I promise you, because you're helping me. You got to build my own credibility. Gotcha. So I'll then say, okay, let's. I think that sounds interesting. Even if you're 90, 80%, 70% there, I'll say, just listen, I think there's something here. How can we work around seeing how how do we adapt to this, or how do we add into it? So I think that's the answer to how you balance long-term and short-term is also based on circumstances. And I talked to you about this. Yeah. And I'm talking to you about that. Yeah. And how you bridge the gap. That study that I referred to, it gives examples of, so they do an average, for example, in banking. Yeah. It's more a 50-50, they'll say that. So I'm using 50 as an example. Yeah. They'll say FMCG generally, it's a 70-30, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. In the same way that, how much should brands or businesses, organizations invest behind marketing? Do you peg that at percentage of turnover? Do you peg that at a percentage of earnings? And you will then see whichever number you use or metric you use, you will see that industries differ because they are in different circumstances. And even in one industry, you might find that brands are in different spaces. So you don't want to run the wrong race well because you end up doing the things that actually are not helping you purely because your competitors are doing that, purely because another brand in another industry is doing that. So it's important, to be very strategic. We lack, Pat, strategic abilities in marketing. Planning, strategic planning, brand planning, how do I end up with a plan that works, right?
Would you say that's your gift? Because I think now I've asked you 3 questions, and I think what I'm getting from you is that you just have the ability to read the room. Context really matters, which is something that I feel a lot of people struggle with, or they don't get important.
Are leaders made or are they born? Do people who can sing, made, or are they born with it? People who dress well, are they made or born with it? Yeah. I think it can be a combination. And those who may not be born with it, in today's world, can be trained. People can be trained to be good leaders. Yeah. People can be trained in skills that make them more strategic, read the context better, sense making. And maybe as you also become more experienced, you improve on some of those skills yourself. One of the things that I think I've been very lucky with is to work for good leaders. So I copy a lot of that.
So you don't say they're not marketers, therefore I can't learn from them.
No. Let me tell you, I copy with pride. I steal. I steal with pride.
But was it Einstein who said great artists copy?
Okay, I must tell you, if there's one thing, of all the leaders, every time I see something that I think, geez, okay, I love this, I will copy it. Including how their mind, I look at them when they speak, and I think, yo, this guy, hey, one day I want to speak like this guy, and you try and understand how they apply themselves to questions, how they respond when they have to be in a situation where they are caught off guard, et cetera, et cetera. So I think all of us have an aptitude to learn a skill of any kind. Maybe we're never going to be a Ronaldo, or a Messi. Yeah. In fact, Ronaldo and Messi are a very good example. You have a soccer player, short, fairly small, but he's just like effortlessly. You don't even think he goes to training. Yeah. You don't, whereas you have the other guy, Ronaldo, you can see the guy puts a lot of effort. Yeah. He trains, he practices, and
he doesn't drink Coke.
And you hear other players. Yeah. There's other players, they tell you, geez, he stays behind, he free kicks, he practices. So those two, divergent sort of archetypes should always remind us that you can build anything. Maybe not to Ronaldo's level. You can be one of the best soccer players by just applying yourself, because he's been able to get there. You can see there's a big part of it which is about working hard. Whereas, somebody else might be more sort of effortless and natural. So I think we can build these strategic abilities. You can build them, practice, frame things, analyze things, try and understand what the root cause is. Don't take things at surface level. Always ask, is this the why? And once you've answered that why, ask another why. Is this the why? This is what it is.
Yeah.
Until you get to a base where you think, okay, I think I've actually cracked what the issue is. Wow. At surface level, it said we are declining revenues in South Africa. But actually, when you go down and you ask these whys and you interrogate it, actually, no, the youth are moving away from this to that. It was not about South Africa. It was about the youth. So now I'm going to respond to the youth, not to South Africa. Because the data was telling me that South Africa is declining. But actually, in South Africa, the data was declining because the youth are moving into this and this and that. So surface, root. What is the surface issue dealing with that? What is the root issue?
So pretty much what you're saying is that you need to be curious.
Yeah.
You need to have an inquisitive mind. Always be asking questions.
That's it.
I mean, I think that echoes what some of the marketers that I've interviewed on this platform, that the secret to a successful marketing career is that ability to ask why, ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
When all is said and done, Mr. Mbhele, how would you like to be remembered? I know this is quite a philosophical question.
Yeah. Oh, just a guy who defied his circumstances, In fact, maybe let me crystallize it. An example. I want to be remembered as an example that anything is possible. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is your aspirations and where you're going.
Got you. And if there's someone who would like to, connect with you and they're like, I'm so inspired by his journey, he's a brilliant mind, what's the best way people can reach you?
I'm on LinkedIn. Actually, I'm bad on LinkedIn, let me tell you. People send me, because there's just a lot of sort of email, sort of messages.
I can imagine.
It's difficult on.
Yeah.
But I would say I can give my email address. Okay, my personal email address is Sydney with a Y, SYDNEY at SydneyMbhele.com.
SydneyMbhele.com. It's already taken, that domain.
It's already taken. Sydney at SydneyMbhele.com. And I try. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But I try and make time for people who want to connect.
Amazing.
I do the best I can under the circumstances.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much for making a stop. I know, this week has been one of the busiest weeks, but you still, made time to come here, and I really appreciate that. And to our audience, if you found this conversation valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment and share, so that we can have more people being reached by the message that's being shared here. From me, Pat Mahlangu, Pat.
It's Pat on brands. Watch how you branded, man. A pat on the back is a pat from the man. Better be branded, man. A pat from the pat is a pat on the brand. If it's enormous.